We're talking to an audience of radio and television news directors, so the obvious question to begin with is a question specifically about the news business. Almost more than any business right now in the television sphere, the news business is changing daily. Bureaus shutting down, CNN taking unprecedented voice of record position on some issues, cable coming in and producing local cable news. Would you, in your vision, see that as a positive change for viewers, all the changes in the news business?
Well, I don't want to, say that all the changes in the news business are positive. I think there is some move to sensationalism that, frankly, is not positive. But on the other hand, I think that that a lot of the changes, some of which you've just noted, are quite positive because they provide more immediate sources, 24-hour news sources, for example. They provide more diversity where there has been almost an oligopoly sort of situation. They provide much more instantaneous coverage. I just finished meeting with my Canadian counterpart and agreeing to look at ENG coverage across the border and the use of flyaway dishes, uplinks. Right now there isn't the kind of smooth, fluid opportunity to do that across the U.S.-Canadian border. To me, these are the kinds of changes that have assured the American public that they're getting a better product or a quicker product or a product that they can get anytime they want it.
I think it's interesting from your perspective that there are issues that are technical, and then there are issues that have to do with competition and change. Do you see your role fundamentally as one of legislating the technology and overseeing the technology, or is it a broader mission than that?
Well, we don't have a mission to get into the news bureaus and to write the news or to edit the news or to be the censor of the news. And one of the reasons I, for example, have been steadfast in my opposition to the Fairness Doctrine is I felt there was an uncomfortable invitation in some instances to do just that. So when I come to the news part of this business, it is my view that we should facilitate the use of new technologies. Additionally, we should expand the opportunity to actually utilize those technologies so that if we have to provide new allocations, for example, to use flyaway dishes, we should do so. If we need to enlarge our bilateral relations with Canada, as I indicated earlier, we should do so.
One of the things that I think is fascinating about the technological changes is they provide all kinds of new strains on this whole idea of freedom of speech and what is freedom of speech and how free are we to speak. And I thought I'd pose a philosophical issue and puzzle it out with you. 900 numbers. When you've got a 12-year-old child who calls a 900 number and gets X-rated material, how do we manage freedom of speech and at the same time limit access to material? Is that a technological issue?
No, it's not. I mean, you get now to kind of a core social question, and we have taken that up as a people. We have acted through the Congress to ban so-called dial-up porn, except in certain instances, and the court has recently upheld that. The Congress has said ban indecent broadcasting on a 24-hour basis. At least at the Circuit Court of Appeals level, they have said, no, you can't do that. And so we are now working through some of these more complicated social questions as it relates to a lot of the new communications technologies.
The New York Times says, in a headline and then in a lead paragraph recently, that you have a bold vision and a blueprint. That must make you a little nervous to have that hung around your head, a bold vision and a blueprint. You know how to do it, they're saying.
Well, I don't know how to do it. I know how I think the government can boost, encourage, facilitate the new technologies, the applications, the services, and that is speed the opportunity for the new technologies to be deployed. Set those regulatory rules if they need to be set to assure that those technologies are not subject to interference, that they are widely deployed. Set those competition rules to the extent that they need to be set so that you can't have some behemoth in the industry like a telephone company get in and suffocate the new smaller competitors. I think we need to do all of those things, but having done those things, then I think the market can decide which technologies are important and which aren't, which technologies can really add value and which will not. I think there is a broad vision of fiber, of digital technologies, of satellite technologies serving not just the urban markets but the rural markets. I think there's a vision of a computer-based network providing us access to libraries on an international basis, providing the opportunity for telecommuting so that jobs that can be done at home can be done at home and people don't have to spend a couple of hours on the road, congesting the roadway, being frustrated, burning energy unnecessarily. I think there's a vision of teleeducation, telehealth. I think there is really an extraordinary new opportunity with these kinds of technologies, with these fiber, with these digital, with these computer-based technologies. So I hope to do all that we can to encourage their deployment, to encourage their application, and to let the human genius take over.
Looking at that vision through the eyes of a local television or radio news director, you see coming down the pike enormous competition, and from the chairman of the FCC, an invitation for that competition to grow and flourish and prosper because it offers new opportunities. But at the same time, here you have stations that are saying, we've been serving these markets for a very long time, and how do we retain our market share? How do we retain our voice as the news source in a community across the country?
Well, there's no guarantee you can retain your market share. I think there's a guarantee that if you act alertly, smartly, creatively, that you can, relative to the others, command a strong market share. I think there is going to be a bit more fragmentation. In fact, I know that. In fact, there already is a bit more fragmentation because these new media are frequently driving transmission costs way down and enlarging the number of channels generally available. You can look at that as the glass half empty, or you can look at that as a glass half full. I choose to look at it as a glass half full. If I were getting into the minds of people in the news departments around the United States, I'd say there are going to be a lot more channels for you to use your talent, your curiosity, your news gathering tenacity, your ability to put together the kinds of information you get and program it, present it in an interesting, exciting manner. I'd say that if you have those kinds of attributes, then the expansion of channels should be something quite attractive to you.
And a devil's advocate might say back, yes, but if there's an unlimited number of competitors on the playing field, and our resources, the niches get so small that we don't have the resources to do our job properly, that there is potentially the danger that we end up with more choices and less substance.
But that won't happen. I mean, first of all, you can't have an unlimited number of competitors. There are economic and human-based limits. Secondly, you're not going to get down into little minuscule niches because I think there will continue to be a value to critical mass, because critical mass will be able to take on a quality that the smallest of the niches will not be able to take on.
Final question. As with any vision, I think there's probably a dark side. There's, if these things don't happen, if we run into these stumbling blocks, if I can't pull these technological solutions together, what's the danger facing this country if we don't allow some of these things to flourish in your vision?
I think the danger is simply a global danger. We are no longer the world's economic Gulliver. We are in real hard market competition across a broad array of both human and economic experience. On the human side, we're facing a tough educational competition. We're facing tough competition in updating the training of workers. On the economic side, the automotive industry, the telecommunications industry, the chemical pharmaceuticals industries. Even when we thought we were at the top of the world, as we have, for example, been in commercial aviation through Boeing and McDonnell Douglas, we find suddenly an Airbus coming along and challenging us there. And of course, the Japanese seem to want to get into commercial aviation as well. So my point is that to the extent fiber-based, digital-based, computer-based, satellite-based technologies offer us new chances to leverage the human imagination, to leverage the economic investment. To the extent we don't take advantage of that, then we simply run the risk of being second best.
So by endorsing change and by saying to the marketplace, particularly the news marketplace, these things are coming, I get the sense that what you're saying is be aware of them, there's opportunity here, but at the same time, don't look to me or the FCC to try and juggle the playing field and narrow it or focus it toward one industry or another. We're going to open up the doors and really see what we can do in terms of communications and open new technologies.
We're going to open up the doors to opportunity. That's what we need to be doing.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good. Thank you for having me.
States don't get to run the kind of deficits that the federal government does.
That's right.
I mean, if you could keep bouncing checks in the way the federal government has, you certainly could run a whole lot more programs.
That's exactly right.
And I think, in a sense, that's the thing that people can hold up and say, that makes sense to me. If New York could just borrow a lot of money and solve all its problems and clean all its streets, then why can't the federal government do that? We're borrowing the money. We obviously owe it to somebody.
Steve, you put your finger on something really good. There is a logic that works, I think. Drugs is a very good example. The president said, I declare war on drugs because it's a national concern. Just the way he declared war on Iraq. With Iraq, we were broke, but he found $30 billion. He said, I declare war on the savings and loan crooks, and I'm going to give everybody back their money. And he's going to find $1 trillion. How come when you said, I declare war on drugs, you didn't find the money for drugs?
Let's talk about the Persian Gulf thing for a minute, because AP came out with a poll the other day and said 70% of Americans feel that we shouldn't have left as early as we did. And we've talked before about the fact that there were some good decisions made and the history is yet to be written. But now we've got this invisible hide-and-seek game going with his nuclear capabilities. From your perspective, as an observer, where do we go next with that?
The president's in a box. So is the country. You know, before the war, I was with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, my position, in that they said, you shouldn't go in. And if you do go to war, this is what I said before we went, then you'll kill people, some of your own. You'd better make sure that you defang Saddam Hussein. And you'd better make sure that if you do go to war, you make it worthwhile. God forbid you go to a war and Saddam Hussein remains. And what the American people are saying as they wake up to it is, hey, look, we won the war. That's great. It's nice to do something right, except we didn't finish it. We didn't achieve the objective we should have.
So you're saying we should?
Should what?
Finish it, go back
No,
in.
the American people don't want that. They don't want you to start another war. They'll have a parade for the last one, but the American people don't lust for killing. Let's get that clear.
Can we simply, as a country, expect to be returned to our position of dominance by being the grandest and most powerful military force on the planet?
No, you didn't get to be great that way. The first thing you have to change is a national government attitude that says we don't have to do anything except reduce interest rates and cut the capital gains taxes. If we just make the rich people richer, they'll figure out how to get ahead of the Japanese. Forget about it. Japan is ahead of you because their government has been pumping up industry for years and years and years. All of Europe has been doing that aggressively. Yes, they have free markets, so to speak, but the government takes an active role. Here, the government is saying, no, we'll take care of the rich people, we'll take care of the military, but all the rest of the economy is up to you. Develop your own workforce, do your own research and development. You figure out how to deal with the trade problems. That won't work. We need a more affirmative, more positive involvement from the federal government. If we get that, we can do anything.